Hey everyone! Today I've got a very different kind of game for you. A game that dives deep into the human psyche and reveals the darkest corners of reality. It's called Bad Parenting, and from the very first moment you start playing, you're pulled into a grim, oppressive atmosphere filled with psychological tension. You play as a young boy, about 8 years old, living with parents who are harsh and abusive in every painful sense of the word. The tragedy is, the child doesn't even realize the extent of the violence he's living through every single day. It doesn't take long before the story spirals into a true nightmare. With every scene, the mystery deepens until that final moment, that single split second when everything finally makes sense. In this video, I'll be telling you the complete and heartbreaking story of the first Bad Parenting game. So get ready to experience one of the most shocking and emotional tales out there. And don't forget, heroes, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss the stories yet to come. Our story begins with a little boy named Ron. That night, just like every night, he was standing by the door, waiting for his mother to come home from work. When she finally walked in, he scolded her for being late again. She calmly replied that she'd been at work, the same excuse he heard every single day. But tonight wasn't like any other night. Today was Ron's birthday, the day his mother had forgotten once again. She tried to cheer him up with a small smile and said, "Maybe Mr. Redface will visit you tonight, the kind man who leaves gifts for children while they're asleep." Then she convinced him to go to bed early so he could wake up to a surprise. But before Ron could reach his room, his father came home, furious. He started shouting at Ron's mother, accusing her of lying, saying he was sick of her coming home late every night and demanding to know how she could forget their only child's birthday. She tried to explain, but he wouldn't believe her. Then, in a harsh voice, he yelled at Ron, "Go to your room, now." Ron ran off to his room, terrified, wishing with all his heart that Mr. Redface would really come and make him forget everything that had just happened. Outside, the rain poured down and thunder echoed as the little boy drifted to sleep to the sound of his parents' endless arguing. But around midnight, something strange happened. Ron woke up to the sound of footsteps. When he opened his eyes, he saw a strange man standing in his room, his face completely red. The man was holding something small in his hands. He walked slowly toward the bed, placed a box beside Ron, and then disappeared into the darkness without a word. The next morning, Ron woke up, unsure if what he had seen was a dream or real. He opened the box and found a doll inside. Smiling, he said, "This must be a gift from Mr. Redface." But what he didn't know was that from that moment on, his life would change forever. The doll began to speak in a voice just like his own, and it even looked exactly like him. It told him that it had been created by the magic of Mr. Redface himself, and that it existed to be his closest friend, one that would never, ever leave him. Ron was overjoyed with his new gift, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. But then he noticed something strange. The doll was slightly broken. Its neck wouldn't stay straight. The doll comforted him, saying that even so, she was still the best version Mr. Redface had ever made. Sometimes, she added, he made small mistakes when creating his masterpieces. Then, with a burst of excitement, she said, "Come on, let's play." She pointed at the toy cabinet in Ron's room. Ron tried to open it, but it was too heavy for him to move. The doll suggested that he should eat first, since she was, In her own words, really, really hungry. What was strange, though, was that the doll could feel everything Ron felt. She shared his emotions, lived his sensations moment by moment. So when he ate, she felt full too, as if she'd eaten herself. Ron walked into the kitchen and found a note on the fridge from his mom. She wrote that she was still at work, but had prepared his favorite meal. All he had to do was heat it up. She mentioned she'd noticed he hadn't been eating well lately because of his parents' problems, and reminded him to take his medicine after dinner. It was a simple note, but it said so much. It showed just how much the family's troubles had been weighing on the little boy. Ron sat down and ate quietly. The doll suddenly broke the silence, promising to do a magic trick that would make eating more fun. She told him that after he finished his meal, the food would go back to the way it was, as if nothing had happened. And somehow, it did. Moments later, the plate looked exactly like it had before. Then, suddenly, the bottle of alcohol on the table started moving by itself. Ron laughed at first, thinking it was part of the magic trick, but his smile quickly faded when he saw a strange demon-like creature drinking straight from the bottle. He froze, not because the creature was terrifying, but because he imagined what would happen when his father found out the bottle was broken. The doll spoke softly, trying to calm him. "Don't be afraid. Mr. Redface took your father somewhere far away, a place where he can't hurt anyone anymore." Ron ran to his father's room. It was empty. The doll explained that his father was a bad man. She reminded Ron of all the times he had yelled at and hit his mother. She said Mr. Redface takes people like him to another world to protect children from them. But Ron, in his innocent voice, began to beg her to bring his father back. "He's not evil," he said, trembling. "He just makes mistakes sometimes." The doll went silent for a moment, then said gently, "All right then. If you really want to, I'll take you to Mr. Redface myself, and you can ask him to bring your father back." The doll speaks to Ron in a calm, eerie voice, warning him that the Red Man is a distant and powerful being who never changes his mind. She explains that the quickest way to reach him is through the closet, which serves as a portal to his world. Following her instructions, Ron tunes the radio to the correct frequency before opening his father's closet. As soon as he does, multiple portals appear before him. Behind one, he sees the body of a dead woman. Behind another, a black void that seems endless. He chooses to step into the void and is instantly pulled into a completely different dimension. In this strange, silent place, Ron encounters a mysterious cat who keeps records of everyone sent to this world. When he tells her he's searching for his father, she asks him to describe him. Ron explains that his father's name is Bruce, short-tempered, loud, sometimes harsh or even violent, but deep down, he's not truly evil. The cat listens quietly, then tells Ron that his father is behind a door at the edge of the forest. As Ron makes his way through the woods, he meets a group of children who claim they are also looking for their parents, all taken by the man with the red face. One sits on the trunk of a car, another stares into a fire, and the third rests quietly on a grave. They ask Ron to stay with them, but he refuses and continues toward the door. When he finally steps through, he finds his father lying in a cold, empty room, whispering with a trembling voice, "Stop punishing me." Ron tries to help him up, but his father doesn't respond. He just repeats the same words again and again. Beside him, Ron notices a piece of paper with the word exit written on it. The moment he touches it, a massive hand bursts out and drags him away. Ron suddenly opens his eyes back inside the closet, unsure if what he just experienced was real or only a dream. His mother enters the room, scolding him and saying she can't understand what's been wrong with him lately. For a brief moment, her face distorts unnaturally before returning to normal. Ron tries to tell her that his father was taken, but she only asks about his medication, insisting that skipping it is what causes his hallucinations. She blames the doll for everything that's been happening and finally tells him to go to bed. It's getting late. In his room, Ron sees the doll floating in midair. Suddenly, a powerful hallucination hits him. He sees the red-faced man threatening him in a terrifying vision. It's so horrifying that he completely loses consciousness. His mother rushes in to help, promising that she'll stay with him tomorrow and won't go to work. But when he wakes up the next morning, she's gone. And strangely, he doesn't seem surprised at all. The doll is still in the room, but she looks badly damaged. She tells him she was hurt because her master, the red-faced man, was furious about what they did yesterday. Then she adds that he took his mother too, and warns Ron to run before the same thing happens to him. Ron shows her the paper he found next to his father, the one with the word exit written on it. He believes it might be the red-faced man's weakness. Without hesitation, he rushes back to the closet, hoping he can save his mother the same way. He arrives once again in the other world. There, he sees the same children hiding behind a car near a white, empty room. Inside it, his mother is crying. The doll convinces him to throw the paper into the room and hide with the others. Moments later, a massive explosion shakes everything, sending Ron back to his world. The doll tells him the plan worked. The red-faced man's power is fading, and all he needs to do now is meet his parents by the front door. Ron runs as fast as he can, but when he gets there, he finds himself in the middle of another fight, the exact same argument that happened at the very beginning of the story. It's like everything is repeating itself. His father yells at his mother, accusing her of cheating because she comes home late every night. She fires back saying she's late because of work, and that he does nothing but drink and take out his anger on them. She reminds him that she's the one holding everything together, working hard to give their son a decent life. Bruce snaps. He attacks her violently. That's when she finally decides to leave him. She warns him, if he's still in the house by morning, she'll take Ron and go. Then she walks out into the night. Ron stays frozen, terrified, watching his father stumble into the kitchen, drinking more and more, until his face turns completely red and he becomes the red-faced man. Bruce climbs the stairs to his son's room, and in a moment of madness, he does the unthinkable. He grabs his child and snaps his neck, then hides the body inside the closet. The boy we've been controlling throughout the game witnesses this moment, and that's when the doll finally reveals the truth she's been trying to tell him all along. He's already dead. His father killed him 14 days ago. Everything he experienced was just his mind refusing to accept that reality. The doll represents his conscience, trying to help him face the truth. That's why her neck was broken, just like his. And that's why he could never open the closet, because that's where his body was hidden. In the real world, Bruce is hiding in a hotel room, tormented by guilt, haunted by the voice of his son, whispering, "Stop punishing me." Eventually, the police find him and arrest him after tracing his hotel card, the very same card that symbolized exit in the other world. The story ends at Ron's funeral. His mother weeps as she says goodbye, while his spirit stands nearby, watching her one last time, before walking away to join the other children in the afterlife. Each of them a victim of domestic violence in their own tragic way. One burned, another buried, and one locked inside the trunk of a car.